Spears along with you on the exchange, joined by my broadcasting buddies, cohorts here, Charlie Evers, Marianne Michaels, and of course, Fritz the Night Owl. We've got a guy here who's going to give you a lot of need-to-know information in just a second. We'll let you know who he is. Before we do that, though, we have to be sure to thank our sponsors. Charlie?
That's for sure. Peacock Water Conditioning. You know, they have a very simple mission. They'd like you to use their services and their water. They're located at 1800 Marion Marysville Road in Marion, Ohio. Also located in Bucyrus. If you'd like to call them, 740-387-6312. Bubbyman's Games. We buy, sell, trade new and vintage games at 131 West Center in Marion. Call them at 740-341-7009. They're open through Saturday. I think that's
Tuesday
through Saturday. Great. 12 to 8 p.m. Closed Sunday and Monday. And then Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Centers, Scott M. Gray, D.C. That's Dr. Chiropody?
Chiropractic. Here we go.
Yes, indeed.
Chirophy. What in the
and
world?
Doc is located across the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. And the Night Owl Theater, of course, located on the net at www.fritzlives.com. And you can receive updates by email, nightowltv@yahoo.com.
And there we go. Now we're going to roll right back over to Charlie because we've got this day in history.
Yes, there were some things that happened around this time. American orator Edward Everett, he was born way back in 1794 in Dorchester, Massachusetts. And now get this, in 1863, he happened to be in Gettysburg at the battlefield dedication. And he delivered the main address. And it lasted more than an hour. And after he was finished, another tall gentleman in a tall stovepipe type hat got up and gave the Gettysburg Address. And that was Abraham Lincoln. Now, who remembers Edward Everett's speech? No one. But the Lincoln Gettysburg Address goes on forever.
Plagiarism.
Something like that.
That poor man. I feel
the
so bad.
Civil War, incidentally, began this week. And it was under the command of General Pierre Beauregard. And he opened fire at 4:30 in the morning. They had to, punch him to get him up that early. But he fired on Fort Sumter in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. This day in history. And now if you don't have anything to do tonight, if you want to sit at home and watch a great movie, we're going to tell you about a great one because our buddy Fritz the Night Owl has the flick pick of the day. Fritz?
Well, the other 2 days I talked about movies that were essentially family viewing. Tonight, I want to recommend one that I've liked ever since it came out in 1979, but it is kind of an adults-only movie. It is called All That Jazz, and directed by Bob Fosse. I give it about 3.5 stars out of 5 in full color. Stars Roy Scheider, Jessica Lange, and Reinken, who does some incredibly great dancing in this. Cliff Gorman, who does a kind of a take on the late great comedian Lenny Bruce. Ben Vereen in it, always a good singer dancer. Ben Vereen, John Lithgow, fine actor. It's if you're interested in what it's like to be a Broadway dancer, a dancer on Broadway, what the career is like, what the work is like, what it's like to put on a Broadway show, I think that you'll enjoy this movie. It's based loosely on the life and activities of the director of the film, choreographer, dancer Bob Fosse. There's great dancing all the way through it. The character played by Roy Scheider moves a lot more gracefully. You know, Roy Scheider was the guy who was Gene Hackman's buddy in, what was the great crime picture?
The French Connection.
French Connection.
French Connection, there you go.
And again, Roy Scheider, he was also in Jaws, so you don't think of Roy Scheider as a dancer, but he's incredible in this. Not that Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly would have to worry about him. He's quite graceful, moves very, very well. There's an opening dance number set to George Benson's On Broadway. That alone, the first 5-10 minutes of the movie is worth seeing just for that number. But if you'd like to be a professional dancer on Broadway, the audition process what you have to do, the hard physical work that is involved. And of course, there's always the thing about, is the money going to be there? When do we have just the technical business of doing a Broadway show? It's all there. It combines fantasy, reality, a little bit of salty language hither, there, and yon, a couple of salty scenes hither and yon. But again, as I say, it's a picture for adults, and will hold your interest start to finish. Bit of fantasy, bit of comedy, bit of reality, bit of romance in it, and of course super dancing. All that jazz doesn't have anything to do with Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, or Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, but All That Jazz is the name of the film, and I recommend it highly.
Sounds great. Thank you, Fritz. And by the way, if you caught yesterday's program, I made a plea to the Marion Popcorn Festival this year, make Fritz the Night Owl the Grand Marshal of the Popcorn Parade. I think that's just fair. Don't you? I do. Fritz will take it if he's free that day.
Thank you.
Just send the invitation. That's all we want. We want the invitation. We want the head car. I'll drive it. Maybe. Joined on the... Charlie, you can drive it. We'll all ride in it together.
There you go.
There we go. It'll just be tons of fun.
Quadruple.
It'll be fun. You won't want to miss it. Joined today on the program by a great guy, Dr. Scott Gray, DC, Doctor of Chiropractics.
Correct.
Doctor, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No, you're sure it's not chiropody?
I think it's not chiropody.
You're never going to live that down, Charlie.
Tuesday's episode, I had a bit of chiropody on the show, but it's gone now. Author of a great new book, Good Back, Bad Back, the 10 Things Women Must Know to Eliminate Back Pain and Look and Feel Younger. You can get this where all fine books are sold. Dr. Gray, pleasure to have you on board today.
Thank you very much. Just glad to be here to talk a little bit about the book and why I wrote this. If you think, talk to any of your friends, you're going to find someone out there that has neck pain or back pain. Mary Ann and I were talking earlier, and she was just talking about, most people that she knows has neck pain or back pain or headaches, one of those issues. And that's really why I wrote this book. These are some preventative things that women can do specifically to stop those problems from coming on, and if they have them, some things that they can do as well to eliminate them.
Now, what could a woman right now, listening at home or watching at home, what could they do in their home right now? They've got back pain. What's the first thing they can do?
Really, the best thing to do is really just some simple stretches. If you go, my book is called Good Back, Bad Back, and if you go to the website, goodbackbadback.com, there's different symptoms that are listed there. So you can look at neck pain or back pain or sciatica, whatever you may be dealing with, and there's specific stretches that you can do. There's videos on there so you can see exactly what you can do right there at home to take care of those problems.
Mary Ann, as a female, the only female at the table today, of course this book is aimed toward women, 10 Things Women Must Know. Have you ever had back trouble in your life?
Yes, I have it all the time. And I just saw something that I wanted to ask you about. I read it someplace that it's a myth to say that exercise makes your back worse. That's not true, is it?
It just depends on what's going on.
What the exercise is?
Yes, exactly. What the exercise is and what kind of problem you're dealing with. Now, it could make your back worse if you have like a disc bulge or something more serious going on in there. So, you always want to get it checked out if it is something serious, if it's lasting you more than a week or 2 weeks. But for the most part, exercise isn't going to cause damage to your back. If you start doing exercises and you start to feel more pain, then definitely you want to go and get that checked out. So.
Also, my husband keeps telling me that I have very poor muscles in my stomach and that I should strengthen my stomach muscles and it will help my back. Is that true?
That is very true.
Oh,
yes.
no, I was hoping he was wrong.
People don't want to hear that that the abs, we don't want to do those sit-ups and those core workouts. We talk a lot about that. There's something that we get as Americans. It's called lower cross syndrome. And what that is we get weak ab muscles.
Yes, that's what he says.
So the weak ab muscles.
Abs.
We get very weak muscles in the buttocks region, what's called the gluteus maximus muscle, and then we get tight muscles from sitting all the time. So what happens is we get this lower cross, so basically this pulling of the muscles, which actually pulls your spine out of alignment and will cause you to have back pain. And we talk about those ab muscles like core muscles. Okay, you've probably heard of the core muscle workouts. That's what we want to strengthen, is those core muscles. And then there's some other ones that you want to stretch as well. And that's what I go over in the book, is how to do that, the exact muscles you need to stretch and the ones you need to strengthen. And of course, it's not always the ones we want to hear about,
I
but
know.
yeah, that's the truth of it.
And then what about the neck? Now, I really have a problem, because when I'm driving, I can't turn any farther than this.
Yes.
And I can't turn any farther than that. Now, what do I do about that?
Typically, we're going to work on something, it's actually called upper cross syndrome. These are the two most common things that we get as Americans, because we think about the way that we sit. Most of us don't have that good posture. You know, all of our teachers said to sit up in your chairs, you know, make sure that you have that good posture, but most of us slump down, our shoulders are forward, and especially the way your lazy boy is made, your couch is made,
Yes.
you're going to be sitting there, it kind of pushes your head forward, and you slump forward like this. What that does is, from the side, our neck should actually be back with our ears over our shoulders, and it pushes all of that forward. As that happens, that makes these muscles in the back get tight, it makes them get fatigued, and then we start to have problems with range of motion as well. Because when your spine moves forward like that, the joints in your neck cannot move the way that they're supposed to. It'll start to form arthritis, and then we can't move our neck the way that we want to. But there is hope for that. A lot of people get to that point, and they just think that they're going to have to live with it like that.
That's what I thought.
And that's not the truth. There's definitely some exercises that you can do, some things that you can do to help re-educate your posture.
Is that in this book, Doctor?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
There's some specific things in there. There's one in there called Brugger's posture that I encourage everyone to do. This is something where you just sit up, you bring your shoulder blades back together, kind of like you're squeezing those back, and you just tuck your chin straight back. You don't want to bring your head back this way or look down like this, but you're just coming straight back and bringing your shoulders back like this. It's more specific in here, but that's going to help to relax these muscles back here and bring that head back into normal position. It's very important to re-educate those muscles, because for years we've been sitting like this.
That's true.
And that's what, you know, it goes into that posture.
It
and
also affects your posture, doesn't it,
It
when
does.
you're walking? Because that's another
Yes.
thing my husband always says, put your shoulders back, put your shoulders
Yes,
back.
exactly. And I hate to tell you how right he is on this.
I know, I hate to
When we were in the Army, that was the way you had to stand at attention. Throw
Yes,
the shoulders
definitely.
back, pull the chin down, and stood in a lot of parades at that position for a lot of hours. You know, saying,
sure.
will this general never shut up? I didn't know that I was helping my posture and my back, though. So maybe,
Definitely, yeah.
maybe the Army had something going there after
Yes.
For sure.
There's one thing I'd like to ask about young ladies, or ladies that have children in
Yes.
those car carriers that they hold. Isn't there some way to invent something that doesn't strain their back so bad?
Yeah, definitely. The key to that, if you think about a lever system where, if you think about two kids on a teeter-totter, if you've got two kids on a teeter-totter, let's say they're both 50 pounds and they're both 3 feet from the middle. Now, if they sit there, they're going to be nice and even on that teeter-totter, but if one of them moves away, it's going to appear that they're heavier, right? So what happens is the farther you get away from the middle, the more weight you're holding up. So you think about these mothers that are carrying these babies around. If they have to put that baby into the car, now you're not only holding a 10-pound car seat and a 15-pound baby, you're not holding 25 pounds, you're holding about 200, 300, 400 pounds the further you get that away. So the key is to come up with something so that they can hold those babies closer to them as they take them around. The farther away they are from them, the more problem it's going to cause.
They made ergonomic snow shovels. Why can't they make an ergonomic baby carrier?
And you know,
Yeah,
something else that
sure.
really concerns me is these children who carry these heavy, heavy backpacks.
Yes.
I mean, I can't see where that would be very good. And
It's
they have
very bad.
tons of stuff in it.
It's very bad. It's something that we are looking a lot into now as chiropractors. We see this all the time. I go around to a lot of the schools here in Marion to check for scoliosis. You guys
My
have probably heard of
granddaughter
that.
has that.
So that's that curvature of the spine. When we look at our spine from the front, it should be straight up and down, but scoliosis is when it grows crooked. And I think that the book bags are actually having an effect on that, because it used to be that 1 out of every 10 children had scoliosis.
Now it's
And
higher.
when I take x-rays of kids when they get checked out, we're seeing more than 1 in 10. We're probably more to 2 to 3 out of 10.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's because they sit and play video games more. I don't know if it's because of the book bags. They're not as active as they used to be. There's a lot of different factors that are going to go
My
into
granddaughter,
it.
though, was young when she had hers, and
It can
in
start
fact,
early.
she had surgery at Shriners Hospital in Philadelphia.
Is that right? How old was she?
8 years old.
8 years old. Yeah, the reason they do that is because if your spine goes out of alignment, and when it moves from side to side, it can pinch on those nerves that come out.
She had to have it, and
Yeah.
now she's
It'll
still
affect the
wearing
heart
a
and
brace.
the lungs.
Right, she's still wearing a brace. She really came through beautifully with this surgery.
Very
I guess
good.
it's the best in the country.
Is that right? Yeah.
Surgery for that,
Good.
and the doctors were very impressed with her recovery. But she's
Yes.
still wearing a brace.
And see, that's one of the reasons that we check kids so early is we want to
Yes.
get in there as fast as we can. And as a chiropractor, I've been able to help kids actually get rid of some of that curve, to slow that process
yes.
down and to stop it, and show them exercises that they can do,
Yes.
strengthen those core muscles, do those ab workouts, do the things to strengthen their back so it doesn't continue to get worse. And it's so important even for young children. Like you said, at 8 years old, you can end up getting surgery if these things are bad enough, and it's hereditary.
I think
So
it is.
if a parent has it, it's more likely that the kids are going to have it. So if a parent has scoliosis, you definitely want to get your kids checked out. And the only real way to tell is an X-ray.
Mm-hmm.
I check kids at schools, and sometimes we see some, the shoulders are higher on
Yes,
one side,
you can
or
tell.
yeah, and you can see those things. But some kids, it hides in there, and you can't see it. And the key is finding it early. That really is the best way.
If you're unfortunate and you get scoliosis, for people who don't know, what happens to you as years go on?
As years go on, this is something that I've seen some new research on this, where we used to think that once we would reach skeletal maturity, that it wouldn't go much further, wouldn't
Yeah.
cause much more of a problem. But now they're doing follow-up studies with kids that they found back in the 70s and 60s, and they're finding that those scoliosis does progress. It gets worse and worse. And if you think about it, you've got 24 bones in your back, and in between each one of those is a little disc. They're like a shock absorber in between there. And as that spine curves, what that's going to do is that's going to put more pressure on that side, so that disc will start to break down. And you guys have probably heard of disc bulges, disc herniations.
yes.
So they're going to be more prone to getting those types of problems. The bones on that side are going to have more pressure on them. When you put more pressure on a bone, that's when you get arthritis. That's how that happens. So when our spines go out of alignment, it'll cause arthritis. It can cause disc degeneration. It can cause pressure on those nerves. And that's why the pressure on the nerves is the biggest issue. That's why they do the surgery, because if it gets bad enough, up to a 40 or 50 degree curve, you can start having the heart and lung issues. So when people get older, once you reach skeletal maturity at 20, 21, 22 years old, it may not be over. You still want to pay attention to it to make sure you don't end up with debilitating back pain. Because if you look now, the #1 cause of functional disability in people over 50 years old is back and spinal disorders. So it's just an epidemic here that we see in America all the time.
That's the word I was thinking in my mind, epidemic. We hear a lot about obesity and diabetes becoming epidemics. The back thing is a huge problem.
It is. They say that 85% of Americans will have low back pain at some point in their life, and 33% will have neck pain. And you probably could name several people, if not yourself, that have had a headache before. And many times, like you're talking about, when your head goes forward like that, you feel tight back here and weak, and you can't move your head back and forth, that will cause headaches. So all of these different things are affected by spinal health. And we see people that, even in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that can't get around, can't move around. Typically, we're looking at a spinal disorder.
And chiropractics was not, I don't remember it being 20 years ago. You didn't hear a lot of people going to the chiropractor.
No.
Now, all the time, every town's got 3, 4, 5 chiropractors.
Yes, definitely. This was something that, chiropractic was started about 110 years ago, at least here in America. They've been doing this for thousands of years all around the world, the actual manipulation of the spine. If you look at Hippocrates, he said that we need to look at the spine if we really want to find out where disease comes from. He said we need to remove interference. So all of us know, Hippocrates is the father of medicine, but he was talking about spinal adjustments and spinal manipulation thousands of years ago. So this is something that's been around for a long time, but it's really gotten big here in America in the last 110 years or so, back in 1895. But there was a while there where it just wasn't accepted. People didn't know enough about it. They didn't understand it, and people were scared of it, and they didn't really know what it was and how it would actually work. But now, as the word is spreading. People are saying that Charlie, I know you were talking about you had headaches at one point, and you had them for 25 years.
25
what
years.
happened?
I went to a chiropractor who's passed away, Johnny Lawson, and he had an electronic zapper.
Yes.
And went into every nerve on my face and zapped it. Never gone.
They were gone.
After 25 years. That's simple.
It's stories like that. I mean, that you can't contain that. That just kept spreading and spreading. People getting rid of headaches. People getting rid of back pain. And it's just the more that it's spreading. Now, insurance companies are starting to realize we can save money if we have people go to chiropractic and cover that, rather than going and getting $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 spinal surgeries.
Oh, yes.
So they can actually save money this way, and it saves people money as well, so they don't have to, pay those big deductibles for their, spinal surgeries and things like that. So
I tell you, there's bad news and there's good news. Bad news is we've run out of time in this segment, but the good news is you can get Good Back, Bad Back, the 10 things women must know to eliminate back pain and look and feel younger. Dr. Scott Gray, and Dr. Gray will be with us every Wednesday, and that's also going to be a good thing. Before we wrap up today, we are going to do the mailbag question. Here it is. My father threw me a huge wedding last autumn. We had over 300 people attend. Many of them were business acquaintances of my father. We received hundreds of gifts that have been cataloged in a book by the wedding consultants. My father expects me to write a thank you note for each gift, including those from people I don't know. My husband refuses. He says he took care of the thank yous from the 20 or so gifts from his side. And that's it. What do I do? Barbara from Bucyrus.
She writes the thank you notes. Period. I
Marianne.
totally believe in
Oh,
that.
Marianne, I disagree with you on this one.
Well, you can.
Well, I'm going to.
That's all right,
No,
Scott.
because when I graduated college, all these people came. I didn't know who they were, and I got this list when it was over of cards. Do you know how much postage is?
Well, I know.
And do they care? Do they really care?
Yes.
They do.
They do care. And I always know the people that don't send me a thank you
Oh,
note.
yes.
I remember.
Now listen, Marianne. Now, if I send you a thank you note, say you come to a party, a wedding. Say I have a wedding. You come to the wedding, and I send you a card. What are you going to do with that when you get it? Besides
I'm
look
going
at it.
to read it.
And then what?
Well, of course I'm not going to keep it forever, for heaven's sake.
Right, but I've got to drive to Hallmark. I've got to buy the card.
Scott,
$40.
I'm crying.
I can't.
Oh, I
Charlie,
feel
come
so
in. Help me
bad.
out here.
Oh, I can't.
No, you agree
No.
with this?
Oh, yes.
I mean, it is the thing to do, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people still don't do it.
What about an email?
No!
No.
Scott, you
No,
never know,
no,
maybe in your
no.
third marriage, these people remember you didn't send them.
That's
a
right.
Thank you.
Now, Charlie.
And you know, another thing that people
And
don't
you
do.
don't send a thank you for them coming. If they give you something,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. And another thing that people do is you have this elaborate wedding that's very expensive and all of the meals cost a lot of money. And there are people that don't show up, but they did not tell you that they weren't coming. And you have to pay that bill anyhow. And I think that is really poor.
But well, that's an RSVP thing, though, isn't it? You know, they have to RSVP.
But they don't.
Well, if
which
they
means
don't,
that they're coming.
Well, then they're not going to eat. That's what I would do.
Probably unless you put an email address on the RSVP.
Oh, no.
Won't
Oh.
bother.
You know,
Dr. Gray, what do you feel about this? Come on, weigh in on this one.
I think you do need to do the thank you note. I mean, I think it is just that courtesy for them doing that for you. And I just got married about 10 months ago.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. And I know what you mean. That frustration of people either RSVPing and not showing up, or someone not RSVPing and showing up. It creates all kinds of confusion.
Well, and it's
you end up spending
expensive.
money that You didn't have to. You shouldn't have had
It's
to.
very poor.
So it is, because weddings are expensive.
They are expensive.
Oh, I will sit. All right, dear Mary Ann, sorry you didn't RSVP for the wedding. I got stuck with the bill, Scott, and I'll send that over to your house. How do you? Will that work?
Yeah.
That'll and you'll
Oh,
put
I
that
think
up on the
that's-
refrigerator.
I think that's
and it'll be a
perfectly
beautiful
all right.
thing. Fritz, did you weigh in on this one? What do you think?
Well, I think if somebody gives you a gift, you should send them a thank you note. As for the husband not wanting to help,
That's not fair.
I think that they should find a good wedding counselor or a good marriage counselor. I mean, if something that minor
Yes.
is a problem now, I mean, it ain't
Years down the road.
It ain't going to get any easier.
Looks like our time is up, Scott.
Our time is up. We are running out of here. If you'd like to throw a question to the mailbag, you can add me on Facebook under the name Scott Spears, IRMcommunication@gmail.com. Goodbye. Good day, everybody.